From the world of fixed operations where miracles happen daily, usually between lunch and the next breakdown, it's Fixed Ops Focus with Dave Rogers and Steve Shaw.
Welcome back, Dave. Happy Convention Monday.
Happy Convention Hangover Monday.
Hangover Monday. Awesome. So tell us, how was a trip for you? How was a convention for you? We've been talking about that the last couple episodes. We might as well jump right in.
It was busy. That's the first thing. I mean, they had it Wednesday, Thursday, and a half day Friday, and I had to fly out Friday morning, so I crammed 2.5 days into 2 days. But a lot of good vendors, a lot of new stuff out there. I probably have a list of 15 or 20 vendors I never got to.
Yeah.
I'm going to be, I'm sure I'll be answering a bazillion emails for the next month and trying to set up a couple demos because they're relentless. Monday morning, at 9 o'clock this morning, I'm getting, hey, thanks for stopping by the booth. You ready to go? You ready to start?
Yes,
9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't even read all my emails from the weekend.
Hey, so what's funny is many moons ago when I first started, my company, I met this guy out at the convention, and he goes, "I like you, kid." His name was Dan. He goes, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna hire you. Don't you blankety blank call me until February 22nd at 2 p.m. In fact, I think he said 2:05 p.m. If you call me 1 minute before 2:05 p.m. on February 22nd, I will never pick up your call and I will never hire you." And I said, "Yes, sir." And so on February 22nd at 2:55 p.m., I called him up and he goes, "Well, hello, Mr. Shaw." And he goes, "I've been waiting for your call." And I said, "You ready to hire me?" And he goes, "Absolutely." Right. He didn't want to mess with me for, a month after the convention, but I did exactly what he said. I was a brand new trainer and I did exactly what he said. And he hired me on the spot on that first phone call. That's what you got to do is say, "Don't call me Monday. I got shit to do."
I like that. That's really good. And I had to try that one, like you said. That's good.
Yeah, I'm full of wise ideas,
Yeah.
Most
the one
people
thing I got myself in a pickle, which, there's two halls, right? You have the west and the north, right?
Yeah.
So leading up to the convention, all you're doing is getting text messages and emails from all these vendors. Either you use them currently or whatever, and they're trying to book an appointment, right? Everyone's trying to fill a slot up.
Right.
So there was a few of them, like, Cox, CDK, Reynolds and Reynolds. I do business with all three. They asked me to set times up with them, so I did because, they want to show me all the new stuff. And that was easy enough because I know they're always in the main hall, right? But in between, I had some other ones that I wanted to see, and I just set up appointments. I'm putting in my planner, not to mention the time change difference that screwed up my planner. But so all of a sudden I realized when I'm there, these guys are all in different halls. So like I got to finish up with, CDK at, 10 o'clock. I got to be in a North Hall at, 10 o'clock. Like there's no way, and because you checked it out. Like there was a shortcut to go from the west to the north, 10 minutes if you take the shortcut, but they didn't let you take the shortcut on the way back.
Exactly.
So it was a 25-minute walk, right? So your timing got all screwed up. I'm like, you know what? Next time I do it, I'm not setting any appointments. I'm going to do it at my pace. When a map comes out, that's it. So, lesson learned. I haven't been doing it that long. I'm not like you since I was a kid. It's only like my 6th or 7th year, so I'm learning.
Yeah.
And then looking forward to next year in Orlando. At least it's the same time zone. I could visit my daughter, visit my grandkids. I can make a little mini vacation beforehand. And then, I don't have to worry about staying up till, I don't know, God knows what time I was up some nights.
I'm still getting used to back on the correct time zone. I was gone a few days early in California, meeting some friends and some clients, and then Vegas. I'll just tell you what, that Vegas, they can have it. If it was back in Vegas again, I'm probably going to be busy that week because, $40 hamburger, $30 burrito. You're just kind of over it. I'm kind of over it.
I'll tell you though, 73 degrees and sunny definitely made my day. That's all I cared about.
The weather was nice, and probably the only two places in the world it was tolerable was Vegas and Los Angeles. So.
Yeah, I heard you hit it perfect. You hit the both places where it was perfect last week.
Exactly. But I cut out early. I was able to get the things done that I needed to actually in the first day. And so I spoke to an AI analytics company, which I think you talked to. I really liked them, and we worked out a pretty good program. And I really liked their analytics. I liked what they had to say. And then I worked with a training company, and it looks like we're going to put some stuff together. It's going to be some cool new things on the university that I was able to find. So I really like that. And I was able to, I felt like the turnout was a little light from a dealer perspective. At least that's what I thought. Or maybe it was just so spread out. But I wandered around and did my thing without without any appointments. And I felt like it was pretty light turnout, which I don't know if any particular numbers, but I thought it was light. But I was able to get everything done on the first day that I really needed to get done. And I cut out early on the Thursday, which would have been the second day of the expo. I cut out and I caught a kind of a bad seat, I got home. So I was home. I was happy to sleep in my own bed Thursday night and for the entire weekend before. You probably can tell or can't tell, but I'm in a hotel right now in the beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. So
Wonderful.
and so back to work. These first few weeks for me are always pretty crazy. So back on the road doing a little training, but I felt like there was good information.
Mhm.
I think it was overhyped AI. Like everything was AI, which I thought was a little ridiculous. But overall, I was able to get a lot of things accomplished. How about you? In all those meetings, did you find something that you liked, or what'd you think?
Probably contrary to kind of how I've been thinking, recently the last couple of years is, I spent some good time with CDK, Cox, and Reynolds. I was kind of impressed. I'd say I was pretty impressed with this next step they've taken with AI built into their platforms.
Uh huh.
As you know, we've talked about it before, and a lot of times it's the integration issues that give me pause, or I'm just not always comfortable with some of the privacy things or how much information I'm giving to these third party, fourth party, fifth party companies, whatever you're dealing with, right? But CDK is building in the AI into their CRM, which is awesome the way it's doing it, handling the leads and kind of taking some of the mundane work out of for sales. They're doing the same thing in service with helping the technicians write their stories a little bit.
Right.
They have phone analytics, which I think, a lot of this stuff. And then the other thing I found out yesterday or the other day was a lot of this stuff doesn't really get released until this week. So they hold back until at the convention and then they release
Yeah.
it, right? So,
Right.
so there'll be some new phone analytics because we have WebEx phones that are connected with CDK, so we can get missed call notifications. We can see a lot of different things in there where we couldn't see it before. Not in addition to the regular call pops and everything else that you have, which I think are cool. They also have AI in there that'll transcribe your calls, so you can use them for training, which I think is good. I think it's a good step. But the Cox, again, they're using True Video for their video platform. They're they're going to be piloting AI in there as well as far as a rating system goes to show you how quality the videos are. I
Well,
spent
that's
some
great.
time with Joe Shaker at True Video, and he was showing the CDK folks a presentation I sat through about some of the new technology with AI and the ratings and, you know, trying to, using the glasses, which I think is a cool idea, right?
Yeah.
So that stuff's coming down the pike. There's still a lot of stuff still in pilot mode, but they're coming out with a lot of stuff. Cox is doing a lot of integrations with the websites and their CRMs and everything else, where they're actually going to have AI designed websites soon with their dealer. I think it's dealer.com is their website
No
company
kidding.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll be customizable. So if you want a website that shows, all different things, your own customizable stuff, the AI help you design your own website,
Well,
which I
that's
thought was
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, I like that. I like the idea, just to jump in. I like that idea with the video company where they're able to, analytics, transcribe
Yeah.
and let your manager know, the video, how the quality of the video, what it was. I thought that was. I didn't get a chance to meet with the muckety mucks. That was the one meeting that I was hoping to have that didn't come together. But I like the idea of what they had to say and how that was going to work. I thought that was pretty awesome from the MPI perspective.
Yeah, and I think again, meeting with the guys over at True Video and watching some of the stuff. I mean, there's a big collaboration going on between True Video, that company,
Yeah.
and the DMSs. I think Joe Shaker, I think it is, right,
Yeah.
and his team are, they're invested in making this stuff work between. So you're not in a different platform, which I think is great, and it's embedded in the system and it's working good. Um, yeah, I think that when you look at some of the next like you put the tech could put the glasses on with the AI coming out, and then while you're walking around the car, it's taking the video as you walk, right, and then it's going to be able to recognize like that's the master cylinder, that's the alternator, and it'll actually box it up and show the customer so they know what you're talking about.
Okay,
So
so That's pretty awesome because we were talking. In fact, today, I went at the group I'm with here today, and the one thing that I actually enjoyed, although I shouldn't say this, but I don't think the speaker was that great. But I was listening to the message, and I tried to get beyond that. Was on the TikTok thing. And so we were talking today about TikTok and the way we make multi-point. And I think you and I talked about this at one point as well, because I'll find myself getting caught up in reels and I'll watch a reel, I'll watch a reel, I'll watch a reel. And I think that's the attention span of a lot of people, you know? And so we were talking, I talked to Craig, you know, one of my trainers, and I was like, okay, we got to take this multi-point inspection video presentation and we've got to make it into something that's watchable and that the customer is going to see, and it's got to be quick, right? And so I didn't get to see those glasses, but that really dovetails nicely into, you know, where we're going with that. If you can click this and take a picture, or if you can do something to integrate that and then move on. And then, you know, like with the software we use for our podcast, where it automatically creates a reel, it creates these things. And so we worked today, this gentleman at one of the stores here was really into TikTok, and he's trying to make this TikTok presence for the company, which was really interesting. I read his proposal; it was pretty awesome. The what he wants to do, and so if you could make that TikTok style, real style, you know, the style of a multi-point where you can, you know, do the 5 steps, you can get to the point and get to the failed items and get out before the customer, you know, has a chance to fall asleep or, you know, lose interest. I think those glasses and everything you're saying, that would dovetail really nicely into that whole next generation of multi-point
Right.
inspection videos. You know, some people aren't even doing multi-point, and these guys are already, you know, it sounds like, and this is not even a shameless plug for them. It's just something that we ran into. So these guys are already taking the next step, while some people haven't even gotten to a video. So I think that would be pretty interesting to get deeper in that.
And the overriding message with the video company was, um, you know, phase one, getting the videos done, right? Get our 80, 90% utilization, get that as an accepted practice. Number two is now improving the quality, right?
Right.
That's kind of what, you know, these guys are trying to figure out. So there's you know, like a rating system. It'll grade it on whatever 30 different, you know, criteria. The AI can do that.
Yeah.
And then you can learn from it, right? So you say, all right, this video, because I guess some of the metrics they're saying, you know, who knows if it's true or not. They could be, you know, padding up next year's earnings, but you know, it's they when they look at the quality of the video as ranked by the AI or a peer, right? They actually rank it. The customer's more apt to buy.
Yes.
So it's not just, you know, that watch it, but they're actually more apt to purchase whatever you're selling. So that's an interesting part. So that's kind of the overwhelming part. Is phase two is going to be to make the videos better, which I think is
Well,
great.
I think that would be a great use of AI from that perspective, where it could grade it, it could rank it, and then you could see this thing. This makes you know, allows the customer to more of a chance to purchase versus, you know, saying it this way. And so that would be super cool to, you know, to have that embedded into the MPI videos. I would definitely like that, and I would like to learn more about that. Like I said, that was the one stop that I didn't get a chance to make, and we were trying to coordinate. Sometimes it just didn't work out before I left
Yeah.
on Thursday.
And then there's a company out there called Pinewood AI.
Yeah.
Pinewood is the DMS technology company. I guess that was part of that Lithia purchase over in the UK.
Mhm.
So I guess that company owned a part of Lithia, or part of that Pinewood. So I guess this was their first year there, and I met with them. So they have a DMS that I don't know if anybody is even using it yet. They have a CRM. Again, I'm not sure if anyone's using that yet. I don't know if Lithia is rolling it out or whatever. But they had this web chat and some of these AI tools that were really, really slick.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was looking at it, I'm thinking, you know, well, wait, let's see what Lithia does. Let's see if they put it in their 400 dealerships and start, because they got to do it, right? They own the company, right? But I'd be interested to see how that car does, because I think this is 10 times better than what a Techion is, you know, and I think
Yeah.
Techion's a little bit of marketing. People I talk to right now with Techion, the CRM's still not ready, and that's what they started with. So, you know, listen, I'm all for these companies. I think it's great that there's, you know, other solutions out there, but, you know, I feel bad for the guys that jump in early, because they usually seem to regret it, you know? So I put Pinewood on my, you know, as my watch list is what I called it, you know?
There you go.
But, you know, they again, they had some good stuff. Reynolds and Reynolds with their, you know, their programs with their, you know, their reverse risk, their reporting tool I thought was good. They have another program that's AI based, tracking web visits, tracking some, does integrates with their CRM, which I thought was pretty cool the way it did. They're another one that are trying to incorporate some AI with the tech notes,
Yeah.
cause and correction type thing, which was awesome. I mean, you know, you look at this stuff and you go, okay, you know. finally we're going to get to where the techs can use it. And they can start, because the next one I think is talking. When they use these meta glasses and they're talking, I think they could start using that to do their cause and corrections, which would be awesome if they get that
Yeah,
going.
yeah. I mean,
Now they don't,
anything.
the tech doesn't even have to type anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He could be outside having a cigarette and he could be filling out his 3 Cs. He'd be all thrilled. It'd be like a utopia for some techs, right?
That's like your buddy that used to work with at the Chrysler store that you always had to call him in and make sure that he did his tech notes right.
Absolutely.
What an
Absolutely.
amazing,
Yeah.
what an amazing technology that would be for somebody not to have to type and write. And coming from a guy who struggles typing right at this moment of life, when I hit the function key and I can just talk and it'll talk to text. Gosh, if I had my glasses or whatever, that's I like that. I like that idea, and certainly help out the technicians and get their stories down. And again, I
Absolutely.
could imagine just verbalizing what I did versus I'm a technician and I got a one finger type.
Right.
Right. And so what's going to be the better story for me too is if I could just verbalize everything that I did and hit enter.
Right.
Wow. That would be a game changer for a dealership.
I think it'd be,
You
yeah,
might actually get paid.
to help game changer for the text to kind of like, streamline through notes and streamline some of the stuff they have to put. I got into that discussion with one of the manufacturers the other day about, pictures of the VIN plate, pictures of the license plate, pictures of the odometer, pictures of the old part, pictures of the new part, you know. And then, they're talking about stuff. And I asked them, I said, do you have training to teach these guys how to take pictures? Do you have like a photography class? They don't want to hear that.
That's the worst. We're just trying to fix a car here.
Right. And they're trying to tell you, oh, it's to save you time. You don't have to punch in and punch out. I said, these guys would rather punch in and punch out than to do all these pictures now. Come on.
I know exactly. Exactly.
But I think there's going to be a blend though with these glasses and stuff. I just see it happening where eventually, and I think the guys from True Video are saying that they're getting some interest from the manufacturers where if the tech was wearing the glasses and let's say he recorded the fact that he replaced the part,
That would be awesome.
maybe he doesn't have to write down a story. Maybe you just upload the video with it and you get paid for the claim.
That would be
That would
pretty
be
amazing.
that would be
Yeah.
pretty cool, right? You stop all the fraud, you stop all the BS that goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think about it, right? Because that's what makes it difficult for the good dealers is because the bad people are still out there, committing warranty fraud. That's what happens, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a multi-billion-dollar business them paying warranty claims. So I don't blame them for trying to mitigate their losses. Yeah, I was thinking about it. You put the glasses on, you start on the car, there's your time punch. If you don't put it on pause from the start to finish, they could see that the car was leaking oil. They could see everything. They see what you did to fix the car. Maybe that's all it takes. They were hinting about that, but they haven't gotten there yet.
I would say you're awfully forward. You got a pretty optimistic attitude. If that could come together, it would be pretty amazing. But I
That
would
would be
bet.
really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the idea though. We don't do it as much as we used to, but we would do the video. We'd have our video glasses and we would role play and practice
Mhm.
that we would have a customer with the glasses on and they would role play and they would show the advisor and all the things that he did. And it was super fun to watch people improve because they watched their self from a customer perspective, right? So they could see the thing was here and then they could rewatch their video of themselves doing it. And I
Right.
saw more people make corrections based on what they look like by seeing them looking
Yeah.
at the glasses than it would ever come from you or I, correcting them. In fact, I had a fix director who I love to death. And I mean, gosh, just a ton of experience. And when he shook my hand one time, he noticed how he looked down and he goes, I can't believe he was watching the video as we were practicing. And he goes, I can't believe he looked away or he did something funny when he was shaking my hand, like he wasn't looking me in the eye. And he
Right.
says, I can't believe I've been doing this my whole entire life. And so it all of a sudden changed how he made it a point to look
Yeah.
you in the eye when he was, shaking your hand and so on. And so the idea of having the video is very powerful, and the glasses obviously catch everything. I'm just kind of filtering it through my Steve Shaw training lens, I guess, because today I'm working on the drive. Yeah, how amazing would that be if um, we could actually do something like that and make it work in our stores?
Yeah, I think there is something powerful about the video that way for people watching it, role playing. You know, like kids now live on FaceTime, right? They live on it, so they're always used to. They're almost always on stage.
Yeah,
Whereas older folks aren't really like that. We're not, we didn't grow up looking at video phones. That was a pipe dream when we were kids.
I know, right? We had the little thing with
I
the
was still doing the dial. You hated anybody with a 9 in their number, you the bastard.
You're really showing your age now.
That's what they
Did
were
you have
when
the
it,
Did you have the
I remember
cord
when
that
they
was
came out with the touch tone, you hit the button, dee, 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 right? So,
Did
but,
you have the cord that was, 12 feet long that you could go sit
oh
down
yeah,
over on the couch?
yeah. This house I bought, the couple we bought it from had been there 40 years and they still had the house phones on the walls. They still did. And
That's awesome.
Gina was like, "Look, we should get one of those." And I'm like, "No, we shouldn't get one of those." Like, I'm not hanging a house phone on the wall,
Well, it keeps the kids keep the kids off the phone, if that's what you want.
right?
Anything
I
else you
think
saw there? Anything else you really liked?
I saw a, AI company, standalone AI company. I think there are a couple of them out there with some good ratings for, calls, texts, data mining, backstop for in case the customer hangs up or, because that's my concern. I see it all the time with the phone AI where the
Mhm.
customer hangs up when they get it. And, you know, so there's a company Mia, which I think looked like it had some promise, a lot of good reviews from people I've talked to.
Yeah,
It'll actually text you. So if you hang up the phone on Mia, it will text you and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we got disconnected. There's something I can help you with." That
that's
type of
great.
thing, which
That's
I thought
great.
was a cool feature, right?
Yep.
And then, I got a couple of dealerships I got to check. I want to check out there. I'll phone test them as I go. And then some reporting mechanisms that, I looked at. There's a couple out there that I think I need better reporting for what we're doing. I'm not really thrilled with some of the current stuff we have, so I'm just trying to see what else is out there. Uh,
I like the reporting.
Nobody in the reporting world threw AI on me, so I anticipate. I assume they don't have it yet. They haven't thrown AI at me with that. Although we did talk to the one guy with the appointment scheduling, right? He was using AI. What was that?
Yeah, the appointment schedule for AI,
Yeah,
that was
Dave.
Dave from, what was that called? Even Flow?
Evenflow. Yeah, that would look like it was pretty cool technology.
It sounded like, yeah, like you and I were talking about, that it's when we used to do the charts and the graphs and the people and plot it all out, it sounded like they got that, sound like he's got a handle on that. So
Yeah.
we're gonna definitely talk more. And then the Chameleon company sounds like they got their reporting is a little bit analytics, or they're moving towards that for AI analytics, I guess.
Yeah, I had heard of them. You had mentioned them, and I had heard of them in one of the chat groups I was in. And the guy that was talking about was real high on them. I think they have a little better, just a little bit more than just reporting. I mean, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there as far as everyday KPIs. There's expenses in there, which is great. Tracking your used cars, tracking your oldest internals. You can set alerts for yourself. So, like, it drives me crazy when I see a month end and you got 20 PDIs open. Like, to me, you just didn't want it bad. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of grace because the manufacturers lately have been jamming cars down your throat in the last 2 or 3 days of the month.
Yeah.
They have been. So, I'm not gonna blame my guys 100% of the time when I see it, but it just I wouldn't be able to go. If I was a service manager, I was running that store, there's a PDI party happening, I'm ordering pizza,
Exactly.
I'm firing up the barbecue, we're not going home till the PDIs are done, right? That's
We're
free
not
to me,
going
that's free money, right?
exactly. I that drives me insane when there's a PDI left over at the end of the month. Oh, no, that's not happening.
Yeah, my guys and my guys and my gals in my stores have no idea how much better this age Dave Rogers is than 20 years ago, because I would lose my shit. Just you learn after a while it's just not worth it. But it amazes me how some people just don't get it. They just
Yep.
don't get it, man. It's free
Yeah.
money. It's sitting there, get it all in. But it's a different world, my friend Steve. It really is. But I thought it
It
was good
is, and,
technology. It was good reporting because it could show you how many ROs internals you got up, PADIs you got open, used cars you haven't gotten done. I thought that was a good feature to have in that reporting tool. I really did.
yeah, I agree. I really liked, having a conversation with them. I liked them. And I thought it was cool too because and I talked with them quite a bit, and they were talking about, we talk about manager training, we talk about, learning these things, and they had told me that in their software that, well, it says gross profit, right? And if you don't know what gross profit is, you hover your mouse over,
Yes.
and guess what? And then it tells you what gross is. And
Yes.
then there might be a video of somebody saying, I'm not sure who it might be, saying, well, this is how gross profit is calculated. Or you hover over ELR, and then you get a description, and then somebody, I'm not saying who it is, might be going, this is how ELR is calculated, and this is what it means to you in your store, right? So I really thought that was a cool feature, that they were talking about,
Yeah.
within their software. So if that all can be pulled off, certainly next level from our analytics and a training perspective. Could you imagine if you hovered over PDI and it said, or you hovered over internal and said you have 25 open PDIs, which represents this much money sitting here, and then it slapped you around and said, get these
Man,
effing PDIs done.
That's what it should do. It should actually smack you around, is right. But
Yes.
the one report they had in there was great. Was it was a work in process report. So it was just flat out the number, how much in work in process you have, and how much you have in work in process over 2 days. And I was like, now that's a good number, right?
Right.
Because I used to
Exactly.
always calculate my work in process, how much it was in gross,
Yep.
right? But how much is over 2 days? I'm like, oh yeah, I like that. I mean,
I
it was
lo-
showing you RO by RO. It was nice. Get some of these franchises where they just sit on these cars.
Yeah, I remember I would run when I would do my manual calculation every day. It would be booked hours and then flagged hours. Right, I track what was in the system, what the technicians had flagged,
And the
and then
difference between the two.
and they had to marry up at the end of the month. You know what I mean? My
Yep.
report had to marry up at the end.
Oh yeah.
And so that was super cool if that could be done, automatically for somebody. And
We
that's
used to do
probably
that. We used to do that all the time. We used to run the closed hours and the booked hours, and that was the whip, right? Well, that's how we would know what was on our whip. And you just real quick math and say, okay, I got 100 hours on whip, which I think again, it's a lost art. A lot of guys don't do it. So
right. Exactly. Exactly. The other thing that I really liked, and we sort of touched on this before, and I think we might have talked it. It was the AI role play. From
yes.
a training company. And so if it's possible that they can take, our training, turn that into a AI or, an AI customer or whatever, and then the service advisor can actually go take a class, do the quiz, and then go role play with an AI. And then that AI, similar to the video, the AI can grade you and judge you
Mhm.
and say, well, you said this and not this, or I need you to focus more on this. And if that AI could actually marry all that together where you're actually role playing with a real life, quote unquote, AI customer, I mean, that's a game changer.
Absolutely.
I think in our world. So we're working, we're going to work together on some things like that. So I think that's ultimately, if that comes together as well, and maybe I'm hoping that it's real, but let's say it's a year away. It's still something to look forward to. It's still something in the very
Yeah.
near future that we can bridge in the training, which I think will be great for for all of our stores.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yep. Other than that, well, we're kind of running pretty long. Other than spending a ton of money, but I did not spend $1 on gambling. I did not gamble a buck.
Me
So
either. I didn't either.
I was very happy about that. But overall, I think it was a good trip.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to next year, when it's closer to home,
Yeah.
as well, and all that good stuff. So, I wouldn't miss. I still saw a bunch of guys, a bunch of people that I know, and there was a couple guys that didn't get to see. It's always, I think it's as much for the people it is for the products.
It is. It
Pick up with the
absolutely is.
people and see
Just
all those guys. That's pretty good stuff.
it's hard to get it all in. That's the other thing. It's like you get all these invites to go to these after hours things. You got every vendor trying to get you to stay late and go to something, or there's a happy hour or d'oeuvres, and it's just like there's some politics. We
Yeah.
have to schmooze with some of our preferred vendors and stuff. I left heavy lifting. I left that for the owners. Let them go hang out with the bankers and all the guys they get the money from. And I hung out with some of the vendors. Yeah, it is. It is good. I run into a lot of people when I go to same thing. And there's a lot of good people in this business. So I would say though that one of the things I think they really popped into my head when I was doing this is, I guess if I'm going to give a tip today, PDK, Reynolds, Cox, Techion, I don't care who you're using, they're constantly coming out with these improvements. They're constantly coming out with these changes. And, I was talking to one of the guys, and I used to come to work every day, 6:30 in the morning when I was a service manager. And I'd turn on my computer and there'd be a little release note that would pop up that my ADP had a new release or Reynolds. And I would open it up and read it, right? Like I would, yeah, like an idiot. Like I would
You're the only
read.
one ever that did that.
Well, but that was probably why I knew more about CDK and Reynolds than anybody else I worked with, right? So,
Right, right, right.
but and I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on. People are busy. You know what I mean? Like not everybody shows up an hour at work, and if you do, you're getting tugged and pulled and stuff. But I would say that as a general manager, you owe it to yourself to get down with your CDK rep or Reynolds rep, whatever your DMS rep is, whatever you do, and really like spend an hour here and there talking to them about what's coming out, what's coming new. Because I've been wasting a lot of time looking at some of these third party vendors, and this stuff's going to be right there in front of me. Now, again, whether you want to put all your eggs in one basket or don't, that's a different topic, a different day. But the bottom line is that when you look at some of these things, I could have saved a lot of time had I known some of this stuff was coming down the pike. And I do think that we owe it to ourselves to figure out, hey, is our current DMS provider going to provide us this next step, or do I have to go on the outside and look? But I think you should know, because nobody's going to read the release notes. I get that, but you got to get the information somewhere. And
Yep,
if you
yep.
couldn't make it out to NADA, then I would say then you got to really get together with your vendors and see what's coming down the pike, because it's there. You just got to open your eyes and you got to listen and make an hour's worth of time to listen, see what they got.
That's
Yep.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, the one thing I learned, and I think we should table this for our next visit. Let's talk. You were talking about meeting times. I think we need to talk about promise times and setting up promise times sooner than later. I know we've got some mobile service discussions. We've got some other things
Yep.
coming up, but we definitely got to talk about promise times, scheduling promise times,
Yes.
because that's really near and dear to my heart, especially after a few things that happened right to me regarding meeting time, schedule time, promise time. So let's put
All
that
right, good.
on the agenda for the future. And everybody, hey man, we have a ton of traction. And with all of the, with everybody that's starting to see it, we did. I'm gonna go look and see the next visit. I'll let you know where we cracked the top 10 or we cracked a 10% a long time
Okay.
ago. And let's see where we are. But I'll tell you what, we're getting a ton of traction with our videos and views and our subscribers. So everybody out there, I'm going to be like everybody else and say, now hit the subscribe button. Give us a like and a subscribe. And because we are crushing it right now. So anyway, to everybody, I thank you guys for doing that. And let's catch up in a couple days.
You got it, man. Talk to you later.
Fixed Ops Focus is brought to you by Common Sense. Like, subscribe, and share on all platforms. Side effects may include advisors missing easy upsells, ROs walking out the door, CSI scores tanking, techs chasing comebacks instead of billable hours, your competition stealing your customers, and that special guilt of watching your gross profit bleed out monthly. Results may vary. Consult your Fixed Ops director before ignoring this advice.